Hello my friends, welcome to our Backgammon live stream number 129. And I really promise you that this will be the last live stream of this week. And because it's the sixth one in this week and the second one today, so it was quite a busy week, but I promise you it will be the last one this week. And but this is something I'm really proud of, and I'm really excited, and I'm really happy and also eager to share this with you. It's about the regular viewers already know it, of course, that I'm a huge fan of the flashcard program Anki, and to use it for backgammon training. And the thing is that many people said, Rainer, you are right, this is a very nice tool, but it's just too much effort to create these cards. And to be honest, they are right. I don't know if they're right that it's too much effort, but it's a lot of effort. So for example, if I played a match, an online match, for example, and then next day when the XG analysis is ready, I create my Anki cards. It took me on the average about an hour. And I'm not talking about learning and studying the positions. I'm just talking about creating these cards. And there I have good news for you. From now on, you don't have to create these Anki cards by hand anymore. I can offer you this service, which I call XG2Anki, which is all this stream today about. And yeah, so no more excuses. If this was your only excuse not to work with Anki, then you got a problem, because now you have to use Anki. Okay, so let me switch to a little presentation I've created. And yeah, there's so much stuff and so much details, and I don't want to miss any important things or forget any important things. And as I already said, I'm super excited and a little bit nervous and thrilled. So I had to do a little preparation and create a PowerPoint slide, which I will show you, that I really wanted to be sure that I get all important things across, so that you get a pretty good overview about, yeah, the features or the strength of this method or of this service. So the idea is a service that makes it a lot easier and faster for you to become a stronger backgammon player. So the first question that we have to take care of or to handle, why do I think that we need another tool? So I guess most of you guys already analyze your matches with either XG or with GNU, and that's quite a lot of effort you put into your game, and it's really valuable. And pretty sure that even though if you only go briefly through your match on Galaxy or on Heroes, and without even importing it to XG, you will learn a lot and get better quite fast, at least compared to the older days where we don't have these great tools available. But the main point is, and I should have created a single slide with huge letters, which is usually you don't get it on your first attempt. Or maybe I should say it a little bit less offending, maybe usually I don't get it on my first attempt. What do I mean by that? Usually you play your match, then go through the computer analysis and look at your errors, or at least at your blunders, and then you see the numbers from XG and you try to understand why you screwed it up and find reasons why these numbers are like that. We all know the big disadvantage or missing feature in XG is that it cannot explain why this decision is correct or the other move is incorrect. It just gives us the pure numbers, which are in many cases or most cases most likely quite accurate. And I have realized that when I save a position and later on look at it, it happens quite often, at least in my case, that after a few weeks or a month, when I see the position again, I make the same mistake. Not always, of course, I'm not that stupid, but it happens quite a lot. And this is what I mean. Usually you don't get it on your first attempt. Yeah? You have quite a few errors made and you have limited time. And after a while you say, okay, I got it now. You have some reasoning, but most of the time, I think, or in many cases, you don't really get it. Yeah? What you need is you need repetition. You want to see this position again. And that's where Anki comes into place, and because Anki is using which is called spaced repetition. So the idea is, for example, a classical case for flashcards tools like Anki is learning vocabulary, for example. We all know this from our school time, that we created these little cards. Of course, it was before the computer times. On the front, you put a question, and at the back side, you put the answer. And that's how we learned stuff. And today, of course, there are many programs available which do this, I guess, a lot better. And one of them is Anki. And the basic idea is, I don't want to go too deep into the theory, but the idea is that when you see this answer of a question, then you decide, was it hard for me, easy, or completely easy? You have 4 different answering possibilities. And then Anki remembers your decisions, and then depending on which option you choose, you will see the same card sooner or later. But at some time it will come again. So you can also say no blunder will ever get forgotten, because at some time it will come up again. And that's the basic idea. And then, of course, you see I made the same mistake. And then I have to do something. Because you want to get rid of this weakness. You don't want to make such a blunder, for example. And that's where you will extend your analysis. So first step, you only have your diagram and your result, your move list or your cube decision results. And then you see, no, I did not understand. Maybe you did make some comments. Maybe you extend these comments. Sometimes it's quite useful to use this dice distribution tool, that you also add dice distribution to your card. Or what's more likely, that you maybe add some comparable positions. So positions with small changes, or what I do very often is when it comes to cube decisions, I will also add the results for money game or for neutral score, and so that you see the difference there. What you can also do is which I often do when I do coaching for my trainees, that I also add the video link that you can see on this card, that it goes directly to the video position where we talked about this position. But the idea is you want to work somehow on this problem, and you do all kinds of stuff, and you have it all in one place. That's the idea, that you realize you still didn't get it, and that you have to do some extra stuff. And usually there are a lot of ideas, like the ones that are mentioned here. And of course, you can also, if you see no chance, I just didn't get it, why this is a blunder, then you can flag these positions, and then maybe go to your coach and ask him, or ask some friends in your local club what they think about, and collaborate with other backgammon players. So that all kinds of possibilities you have. And of course, why another tool? You also have to make a decision. So XG gives you a lot of feedback on a lot of the smallest error he mentions. And I think you have to make a decision what you want to analyze. There are many people who say you have to study prime versus prime, you have to study back games, you have to study openings, whatever. my theory is that you have to study the mistakes or which cost you the most. So if I have an error of maybe 200 millipoints and it's somehow systematic, if I can get rid of this, I improved my game quite a lot. If in case it's a 10 millipoint error and I understand it now, that's not much, not a big deal. So my theory is that I only look at blunders. Of course, here you can decide what is the limit for a blunder. So the default is 80 millipoints, which I use at the moment. So obviously blunders are expensive. If you can get rid of it, that's quite valuable. And the other thing I am interested in, and I think it's worth to study, even if it's not a blunder, are opening errors. So for me, I decided opening errors are actions in the first 4 moves. So either the error or the cost is quite big by itself, or it's big because it happens a lot, which is the case in opening errors. So what goes into my personal Anki deck are the blunders, so everything that cost me more than 80 millipoints, and all the opening errors. But you can make your choice, but I would recommend that you get some kind of system. Otherwise, it's too easy to lose your way somehow, yeah? Because you study too many unimportant things, or at least they may be interesting, but that's not so valuable, because either it's such a rare move, or it just did not cost so much when you may get it wrong. And of course, you have to decide how you study. And this, of course, in my case, I made this decision that I use Anki for it. I guess before I did what I guess many people do, or many players or serious players do, is that they somehow have a folder structure on their system, and there they have the single position files some way. But yeah, it just did not work so well for me. And one of the reasons is one of the reasons why a tool like Anki is very valuable, or because XG or GNU is a great tool, but we have no real database functionality, and Anki provides you that. So you can later on also do filtering. So you can say, I only want to see my cube errors, or I only want to see where I messed it up at 4-away, 2-away, or I only want to see really big errors like 200 or 300 millipoint errors, things like that. This is all possible and easily possible because Anki is somehow a little database. And last but not least, what really makes a huge difference for me and is really an eye-opener or a game changer is that I do not only have Anki on my computer, I also have it on my mobile device, and things are synchronized. And for me, usually I do the editing or creating or enhancing or extending of cards I do on my PC. And most of the time the learning I do on my mobile. If I'm on my way, on the train or on the bus or whatever, there's so many free time usually you have. And your mobile in these days you always have with you. And I have no more waste time. If I have to wait for someone who is late, no problem. I will go through a few Anki cards. So this really makes a huge difference for me because I can study anywhere, because I have my mobile with me anytime. And you see, you go back to your computer and then you have the same status of your Anki database, so to speak, because they are synchronized via an Anki account. Okay, so just very brief, and there are three basic ways you have available in Anki. You have the desktop app. This is what you should start with, and this is available for Windows, for Macs, and even for Linux. And then you have a mobile app, so Android or iPhone. And you can also use just a browser. So anywhere where you have internet, you have access to your Anki database, which is quite cool. To be honest, I don't use option number 3 yet. I only use my desktop app and my mobile app, but it's always good to have options. Maybe some point later I find it useful, but at the moment I'm happy with desktop app and mobile app. And yeah, all is free except, unfortunately, the iPhone app costs, the latest I knew was or heard was that it's 15 euros, but which is a real bargain. But the desktop app and the Android app, which is called Anki, is even free. I would pay, I don't want to say how much I would pay, but I would pay a lot to have these features. And of course, what I want to mention, even though I have prepared this presentation, feel free to ask questions in the chat. I take a look at it. I see that Tamios is asking, what about Notion? My guess is that Notion is some kind of alternative to Anki. To be honest, Stefan Gumpert, who is also in the chat, he gave me the idea about Anki, and I started with Anki, and I see, for me, no drawbacks, no missing features, so I never tried a different one. I know that there are other good flashcard programs. I think Flashcard Deluxe, I think it's one of them. To be honest, I saw no reason for me to find to look for another tool, because yeah, everything was there. Of course, I also have a developer background, so the things you can do there with the HTML templates combined with JavaScript and all this. To be honest, I cannot say anything about other products, and I never saw any reason to look for one, because there are really no missing features, at least for me. So I'm really happy with that. Okay, very briefly, before I go into more details how these Anki cards look like, you have basically you have two ways to look at your cards or at your backgammon positions that you have saved in an Anki deck. The normal way is, well, the way that Anki is designed is the normal learning mode, where you get these cards shown and then you answer hard, difficult, and so on. And then you get Anki is remembering your answers and then will show you the same card after a specific time, depending on which answer you gave, if it was harder or easier for you. And of course, you also get then sometimes the same, at least at the beginning, the same card again later on the same day. What you can also do is you have this browsing mode, where you can just browse through your cards and use this preview feature, where you can just look at the card one by one. This is also a possibility. So you have two ways to go. Of course, the main way should be the normal learning mode. Okay, so in Anki or other flashcards programs, you have most basic form. You have a front side with a question, and in my case here, it looks like that. So you have your match score, first in the relative score, away score, and then in the actual absolute score. So here in this case, 13 away, 11 away, or 0 to 2 to 13. Then you see in this case what to play, or if it's a cube action. Then you have, I think, quite nicely formatted diagram. And then you have this here, it shows show pip count and in brackets 6. So this I'm really proud of, because I think one of the issues, we all play a lot of online backgammon these days, and we all enjoy that we see the pip count all the time. But the thing is, if you are like me, for me online backgammon is not the real stuff. For me, online backgammon is training and practicing. Even though I sometimes play tournaments, even with maybe some entry fees, but this is just practice and learning, yeah, and preparing for the next live tournament. That's for me is backgammon. And in a live tournament, at least until now, you don't have an automatic pip count, and that's why I created this, which I call Pip Count Trainer. which means when you see the card, you don't see the pip count right away. You see this show pip count. And here this 6 means it starts counting up from 1 to 60. So my idea was I want to put a little bit of pressure on myself. It's a little bit reminds me on a chess or a backgammon clock, and which somehow works. It's a little bit more realistic, so to speak. And the idea is to should easily get a pip count in 60 seconds. So the goal is, I guess, without going too ambitious, you should be able to do a pip count in 30 seconds, I think. So you make your pip count here. Usually, at least when I'm preparing for the next live tournament, I always use this feature that I really do a pip count here, and then I click on show pip count. And then I get the real pip count and the difference, and I also get how many seconds it took me. So I think it may sound very simple, but this is really important, because there are two things that are important when you're practicing pip count. One is accuracy. You want to get it right all the time. Or if you're off by 1 or 2 pips, not a big deal. But you don't want to mess it up by 10 or 20 pips. And you want to be sure how fast you are, because in real life backgammon, you always play with clock. So it makes a difference if you can make a pip count in 30 seconds or if it takes you a minute or two. And and if you just guess, oh, I'm fast, I'm fine, I'm happy. But here you get an objective feedback. You see, now it took me 29 seconds, and you can easily see if you were right or if you were wrong. So I think this is maybe a small thing, but I think it has huge practical value. Okay, and then you make your decision. What will I do here? In this case, I messed up in real life as 6-5. And then you click here on show answer. And then here are the buttons that I talked earlier. You can say, completely clueless, please show me again as soon as possible. And you can say it was hard, it was good, or it was super easy. And then here on top of these buttons, you see, in this case, because it's a pretty new card, it will show again in less than 10 minutes if you press again. Or it will show again in 20 minutes when it was hard. Or it will show in 30 minutes when it was good, or in 4 days when I say it's easy. But these time intervals will change. So it will get bigger and bigger by the time. So at the moment it's quite short, and of course it makes, in our case, not much difference if we press again hard or good, because it will come pretty soon in 10, 20 or 30 minutes. But these numbers will go up to days, weeks, or later on to month. And then, of course, before you press this button, you can scroll down and see the answer, which I will show you on the next slide. So here we have the case of a checker play decision, and you will always see the first 7 moves. And in rare cases, at least in my case, it happens sometimes that I don't make a move that was on the top 7. Then you will additionally see here your move. So they have always 7 moves, and if your move was not in the top 7 rank, then you will also see it below. Then you always see here the XG ID, which at first sight makes no sense. What should I do with the XG ID? It's not interesting, but it's very interesting as soon as you want, as we talked earlier, extend your analyzing. Then it's just very easy to just mark this, press Ctrl Z in Windows and Ctrl V in XG, and then you have the position in XG, and you can do your changes, other match scores or slightly different positions or whatever. So it's very easy that you can extend your analyzing. So it's just here, copy and paste of the XG ID, and you can work in XG with it. That's very cool. And you always see your original action. The idea was basically, if you have this in your match file, then you have this green check mark here, which shows you the move that was played in the game. But maybe you want to extend this, maybe want to make a rollout, then you will lose this green check mark. That's why I have always included here in the Anki text that I'm creating for you the original action here, because this information of the green check mark may get lost. Then also you have some information about the Anki version. This may be important if maybe some errors show up that I can check with which version I have created this card, and to see when this card was created, and to see also from which XG file it was created. So here you have also the chance, if you send me files and you put some information in the file name, it will show up in your Anki card as well. And then, very valuable, I always do some tagging, which means, for example, we have a tag, if it's a checker play or cube action, for example, or the match score is automatically tagged, or the error size, or in this case here, it's type of opening position, or which role. The idea is not for learning here, but that you can filter later on, that you can easily say something like, give me just my doubling errors, or just doubling errors at a specific score, or just doubling errors where I made an error bigger than 200. All kinds of filtering possibilities you have here, and this is, I think, very, very valuable. And here we have an example with a cube action. Nothing special, the same here, and of course here we all know this, how the results look like in XG. Yeah, what will you get? What will each card contain? So when you get your personal Anki deck, so at the moment I just create a card for every error of at least 20 millipoints. We will have some possibilities to change this, more about that later on. Then of course you see always the match score, absolute and relative. And we have this position diagram, you have your pip count with the pip count trainer as I have shown you. Then you always have, if it's a checker play, the first 7 moves as I showed you before. And if it's not already included, also the original move. And of course you have, in case of cube action, your XG results, and always the original action, XG ID, and the Anki info. You all saw this in practice on the slides before, how it looks like. So now to the filter possibilities. So this is called tagging, and we have always a tag for the error size. I will show you in details then on the next slide. So how big was the error? Then the action type, was it cube action? Was it take pass decision? Was it doubling, no doubling decision? Was it checker play? Then the match score, we have the away score of the player and of the opponent. So you have all kinds of, you can do filtering on the match score. And also on the roll. Maybe you say doubles are always so hard. So just give me checker play problems where there was a doublet to play. And position type, at the moment only openings are recognized automatically, but of course if you have a position database as well, I'm pretty sure that you also work with position types to organize your positions, and you can create your own tags and use them and filter on them. And of course the player's name is also, if you have tags from more players, then you can also filter on the player's name. And here you see how I did the error size thing. And so for example, if the error was, let's say, 149 millipoints, then this position would get the tag error size 100. This always means 100 to the next 100. So from 100 to 199, it's the tag error size 100. So here in the lower range, we have this from 20 to 49, then 40 to 79, 80 to 99, and then all hundreds. So later on you can really easily, because it's very important that you start with the big stuff. If you really find errors, systematic errors of several hundred millipoints, if you can solve this, you have achieved a lot. Instead of wasting time on very small errors, which might be very interesting. And I'm the last one who says that's not interesting and I want to know, but it's, if you want to make progress fast, you really have to get rid of the big stuff here. Okay, then action type. So I already mentioned checker play cube action, of course, and then you can even differentiate between the doubling side and the take pass side. We have also text for this, so you can filter on just doubling or when I was just on the take pass side. Then, as I said, the match score is tagged, so the away score of both players, and if it's money game, you also have the money game tag. Then the role, maybe, I guess this is just a little bit playing around because I did it because I can do it. I think this has the least amount of practical value that you want to really want to study because you found out that you played double force at most of the time you played wrongly. Maybe I just added it and you can use it, and if not, we have lost nothing. And here the position type, and at the moment I have only one position type that I will set automatically, and this is for the opening, and there is the definition if it's in the first 4 moves. That's my definition of opening. Of course other possibilities exist, but at least that's what I'm using. And of course we also have here the player's name. If you have a bigger database, or later on we see that you can also get decks here from other players, then you can filter on the player's name, not only your own name. Okay, some ideas for filtering. Obviously, if you want to improve your cube action, you may want to go only to the cube actions. You can do this easily, or only opening problems, because we have all these nice tags which were automatically created for you, and you can easily filter it. Specific match scores, just a specific for 4 away, 2 away, or what I like, this leading 3 away, you can, yeah, that's, I think, really powerful, this kind of database functionality we have now with Anki. And of course, what I called here only nightmares. Yeah. In Germany, I called my deck with 300 plus blunders, or I think it was 200 plus checker play blunders and 300 plus cube action blunders. I called it Dicke Dinger. And here, I think something like nightmares. Yeah, because, yeah, we all have them, and it's very important to start with them. And of course, you can also do combinations of filtering. Yeah? You can say, where was my only positions where I had to take pass decision at 2 away, 4 away, for example, because you found out that you lose more than you should at 2 away, 4 away, or whatever. Okay, then very briefly, because this cannot be a seminar about Anki itself, but the filtering you can do as you can do the learning in the browsing mode or in the decks itself. So when you go through browsing, then you can define a filter, or you can create a filter deck, which means from all the decks you get from me or you have created on your own, you can make a combined deck with a specific filter condition. Now I somehow realized that I had a 4-hour stream before, but I still hope I can stay focused and continue this. Okay, these are the basic ways. And yeah, if you want to just check out without any risk, you will find in the video description, you find a free Anki deck with my blunders, which I'm using, which contains my blunders plus the opening errors. And there you can just look at it, play around with it. And at the very end of this presentation, I will also show you, if you never heard something about Anki, I will show you the first few steps you have to take. It's really easy, costs you nothing. I will show you this later on. But here under this link, which you find in the video description, you can download an Anki deck with 100 cards, and you see exactly how the cards or the decks will look if you will order them from me. So no risk, everything is pretty clear. So how can you get your own personal Anki deck? That's the question. Of course, I need your XG files. So you send me your XG files per email at rainer@backgammonlivestream.de. And you should also mention your first and last name if you don't already know each other. And you should also give me a name, how I should call or name your Anki deck. And of course, this you have to make the payment via PayPal. It's the same email address. And here I think you can say into the chat if I'm wrong, but I think it's a quite nice deal. Just to find out how big is the interest of the community, I will have this special offer. I think the prices may go up a little bit after October, but so until then there is an offer. For the first match file you pay €5 and you have the chance to order or send me 19 more. So your invest goes from €5 for if you want to send me one match file to 24 euros if you want to send me 20 match files, and you get the cards created from it. That's the deal. So I think later on, I'm not quite sure yet how the final price model will be. Of course, the fairest would be if you would pay per card, but the big issue with that idea is that it's not so easy for you as a customer to find out how expensive this order will get. So you would have to go through all these matches you sent me and check how many positions will there be. And then it's just, I think most likely later on we will have something like a fixed amount, like here the €5, and then maybe depending on the match length, that you pay a little bit more for 11-point match than for a 7-point match, for example. But counting the cards, I think it's just too much effort and not really practical. Okay, some hints if you are interested. Don't send your files yet, please. There are some things you have to keep in mind. The analyzing that will end in the cards will be exactly the ones in the files you will send me, which means I will not do any analyzing. So if you send me your files and they are ++, fine, then you get these results. If they are just on 4apply, you will get it like that. So you will get the results exactly how they are. That you just have to keep in mind. So if you want it on ++, you have to do the ++ analyzing beforehand, before you send me the files. Then what's also important, please make sure that you are always the player on the bottom. So I cannot go through all files you send me and then swap it. You have to make sure, I guess most of you, if you have looked at your matches, you will do it anyway, that you are the player on the bottom. But just to be sure, please make sure before you send the files that you are the bottom player. That's important. I cannot do the effort to check the files, at least not for this price. Then, of course, I need a name for the Anki deck. If you don't mention a name, I will just do it last name, comma, first name, and then the date of the creation. But it's not a big deal to rename this after importing the Anki deck. So not a big deal. You can rename it anytime in Anki. So another thing, but this is now getting really a little bit nerdy. Keep in mind that if you send me more than one file, it will get imported in alphabetical order, which means if for whatever reason it's important for you that the cards are created in a specific order, make sure that you name your files accordingly, which means if it's important that file A has to be imported first, then do something like doing a prefix in the naming, that the file name starts with 001 and then the next file with 002 or whatever, because importing is done in alphabetical order. I guess most of you say, what is he talking about? But we are all different, and for some of you it may be of importance, the order of their cards. I guess it's unlikely, but anyway, I just want to be complete. And yeah, as I mentioned before, I have managed to automate this. So I have created a program which does this, the creation, but still it takes some time. So usually I start a session before I go to bed and have then some decks available the next morning. So I think it's quite safe to say that after I got your files and the payment, that usually you should get your Anki deck within 48 hours. But I don't know, maybe nobody cares about this and nobody wants the service, or only 1 or 2 people. Then better for the 1 or 2 people, because you get your Anki decks pretty fast. But let's say if now I look in my letterbox and 50 people send me decks, then maybe it may take a little bit longer. But keep in mind, this is just the starting of this project. So I have only one PC where this is running on, and so be a little bit patient if it might take a little bit longer. So just for data security, I think it would go without saying that I will not use your data for anything else than creating your deck. And maybe I will ask you, I have an idea, can I do this? But I will also always contact you before I do anything else with your information or with your files. I will always contact you and ask you for permission. And of course, you can tell me that I should delete the files after I've created your Anki deck, which I basically would not recommend for one reason. Even though we are out of the beta phase at the moment, still I'm pretty sure that we get improvements. And then if I have the time, and maybe I will want to recreate your decks and send you them, because I want to give you the best service and the best product quality possible. And I don't want to punish you for being an early adopter and being one of the first customers. So maybe it's a good idea that you allow me that I keep your files, that I can recreate your deck with a newer version of XG2Anki. That's the idea. But of course, if you want, you can just tell me, maybe in your mail when you're ordering, please delete the files as soon as you have created the deck. That's fine for me. Okay, there's another thing. This was only this big service. I think it's yeah. If you're convinced about the method, I think you will say, I definitely want this. Because for me, as I told you, one match, it cost me 1 hour to create these cards. Yeah? And this is a lot of trouble, a lot of effort. Yeah? And really, it's just creating, not learning. And if you can get rid of this work, it saves a lot of time, which you can use for studying, yeah? Which is more valuable. And yeah, just creating the cards will not make you a better player. Studying them will, that's for sure. But also, we have some decks here for sales, which I have already created. And I almost forgot. I hope you will not disappear, because there is something to win at the end. Okay, what I've done. I have taken some matches. The good thing about Heroes is you can also download matches, a lot of matches, XG files. And I have enhanced or extended the analyzing, so everything is done on ++. And I have created a deck with 250 blunders of Mochi. Yes, Mochi blunders. That's the truth. The real Mochi fans may be disappointed, but it's true, he blunders. Of course, a lot less often than the normal mortals, but he blunders. And yeah, what's more fun than comparing yourself in a quiz where you know the expert messed it up? which means you can only get better. If you get only one decision right from this 250, you are better than Mochi, so to speak. And so this is a deck with 250 Mochi blunders for 15 euros. I think this is quite a fair deal. And what we have here, I don't know if you heard about a guy called Dirk Schiemann. He's quite good, and he even wrote a book about backgammon, The Theory of Backgammon. And what he also did, he published 217 positions from the book as XG file, which is available on his website. And of course, I used this and imported it and created a deck of it. So you have 217 cards where you can study together with the book. How cool is that? And as you see here on the bottom, you always see on which page, in which position this position is from. So I think it's a good addition to the book, and for just 15 euros. And of course, it goes without saying that this is a cooperation with Dirk. So you also support Dirk with this if you buy this deck. And there's even more to come. As you know, Dirk is not only a super strong top-level backgammon player, he is also a teacher, which means he also has a huge position database. And we think about creating small decks about a specific theme. So each deck one specific theme, and just to find out how well this might be appreciated by the public backgammon community, we offer you one deck for free. There's one deck, 20 cards, where the theme is, should I split to the opponent's bar point or not? And only thing you have to do, drop me an email in the subject bar split, and you will get this deck completely free. No strings attached. And of course, depending on your feedback, if you are interested, we are planning to create more decks, I guess, for a very reasonable price from Dirk Schiemann's personal position database. How cool is that? Okay, now the prize competition. I told you that I've created a deck with 250 blunders. The question now is, how many matches did I have to scan to get 250 blunders? So the one, and it's only here now in the live chat. So put your number here, and the one who is closest to the actual number will get this Mochi deck, which now is at sale for 15 euros for free. And the second one, who is second closest, will save 5 euro on his first order, which means for just if he only sends me one match file, it will be for free. If he sends me 2, he will just have to pay 1 euro. Complete matches, yeah. The question is complete matches. Of course, you don't. I just took matches here random. You don't know how long they are. Of course, it's just for fun here. I just took it from Heroes. Yeah, of course you don't know it. It's just a guess. Average match length, so to speak. I don't remember. I just went to Heroes and looked at some matches without looking if there are 7 point. I know there is also from the, if this helps you, from the Monte Carlo, there's a 25 point match. There are 7 point matches from the UBC. Yeah, it's just for fun. Just name and guess. And I will continue. So basically, for example, if you are saying, just to make it clear, if you would say 50, which means you guess that the average amount of blunders for Mochi is 5. Oh, Marcel just wrote 50. Okay, so he is guessing basically that on the average, Mochi has 5 blunders in a match. But I think this was clear before. And we will come at the very end, and then I will check who is closest. Okay, let's continue. Extra features. Yeah, of course. I have already implemented in my XG2Anki that I can use 3 different thresholds. This means, what I mean by that, I said what you get now is you get everything, every error, 20 millipoints or more, you will get a card created for it. But later on you can decide, you can say, for checkup play, I'm only interested in what is more than 30 millipoints, and for cube action, I want only a card if it's 100 millipoints or more. And for opening errors, I'm already interested if it's 15 millipoints, for example. You know, or in my case, I would use here 80, 80, and 20, because I want the opening errors and cube action checker play. If it's after the first 4 moves, I only want to see my blunders. So, because I think really less is more sometimes, and this may be one of the cases. Of course, it's nice to get a lot of cards, but the question is, will you be able to handle it? And of course, you can handle it by filtering, but maybe later on you will find out, let's go for less cards, but I will study them more intensively. Anyway, you have the option. And really important, I think, is I can not only import match files, XG match files, I can also import position files, which I have done, for example, with the theory of Backgammon position files from Dirk. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people have a position database and have lots of position files, and maybe they think about creating an Anki deck of it. Why not? Of course, you have to trust me. I know they are very, very valuable, and you don't want to share with some foreigner your secrets. Okay, I can accept this, but at least think about it. If it may be, and get in touch with me, and I'm pretty sure we can find a deal. And what's also working, but with a small limitation, is that if you use the comment functionality in XG, you can, for each position, either in a position file or in a match file, you can add comments. Maybe many of you don't use it. And I can also import these. If you have comments there, it will end up in the comment in the Anki card, which is kind of cool. And the only limitation is XG also allows you to do some formatting, so bold print, underlining, and things like that. And at the moment, I only get the plain text. But maybe if you are interested, or I can search for a possibility to also get the formatting of your comment. At the moment, it will only be plain text, which means all formatting will get lost. And what we also have, I'm pretty sure many of you know that if you want to learn something, it's a little bit easier or more powerful or when you write it down. And this idea is also possible in Anki, which means I can also create cards where you have to enter an answer. Yeah? And I call this here Lux mode for a good reason, because my good friend Thorsten Lux, he is a huge fan of this method. For me, it's even though I know the idea of writing supports learning, I think here for me it's not the right thing, but just keep in mind you have this option. And yeah, Then you can enter, for example, DT for double take, and then you see the result. It's just a small thing, but yeah, just another option. And of course, I think this whole idea, or this project, I'm pretty sure. So I work on this idea for I think almost 2 months now. With Anki I work longer, but with this service idea or creating these cards completely automatically, I work for about 2 months now. And I know during this time, there was not a single day where I did not get another idea, a little more improvement, and so on and so on. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of you guys and girls have your own ideas how we can make this even better. So if you have any ideas or special requests, or for example, as I mentioned, sure, you can adjust your guess, Marcel. For example, if you have a huge position database, and maybe you can collaborate and find something to make this better, or to make individual projects of it. If you have anything regarding XG2Anki, just let me know and send me an email to rainer@backgammonlivestream.de, and we get in touch and see what we can do. So now the thing, if you are complete Anki beginner, which I was last December as well. What are your first steps? And I really want to make it very brief here. So there's one thing you should start, and the links are also in the video description, by the way. First, you have to download your Anki for your operating system. That's the first thing you do. And I would strongly recommend that you start with your desktop computer. So is it Linux, Mac or Windows? And you start there. And then you create your Anki account. Cost you nothing, just email and password. And via this account, you can synchronize your devices. That's the big advantage, as I mentioned before. And that's it. You download it, and then what you will most likely do, you want to import a deck if you don't want to create it on your own. And this is also a piece of cake. So on the left side you see a part of the main screen, and there's on the lower right there's a button import file. You just click it, and then the files you get have the extension APKG, and you just choose it and click open, and that's it. And at least under Windows, you can, if you have installed Anki, you can just simply make a double click on such a file, and it will import automatically. And don't forget to synchronize, so that you have it also available on your mobile device. So you can do a lot of things on your mobile device as well, but I strongly recommend editing and enhancing. I do this on my desktop computer, and the learning part most of the time I do on my mobile device. And what I also use quite often is if I'm learning on my mobile device and I see I messed it up again, for example, and I want to extend a card, what I do, I just use a flag. I just press one button to flag it, and make an internal command. And then next time I'm on my PC, I go through the cards that have this flag, and then I will do the extension of the cards. For example, adding new positions, similar positions, or dice distribution, or a command, or whatever. This is a tip I can give you. So some more ideas. I had this idea. We are so focused. We are so focused on our errors, which is, it's a good thing in a way, because of course we can improve if we get rid of the errors. But it can get a little bit frustrating, because you never talk about your good decisions. Yeah? XG will not mention it, and we often forget it as well. And so I came up with the idea in Bad Dürkheim. I have to be honest, I have not worked on it, but the idea is, why not create an Anki deck with positions where you really got difficult things right, where you did something very good, where you found an incredible take. For example, the one take I found against Philipp in Bad Dürkheim, which I'm pretty sure not many people would have found. Or, top players maybe would, of course, but at least where I think I did something really well. And then you can use this before an important tournament or match and just go through great things you've done, just to motivate you and bring you up and cheer you up and bring you into a good mood. So I think this is a really, at least for top players or for serious players, a really good idea. This psychological toy or trick. Not think about your bad things, think about things you really did a good job on it. And I think this is, it goes a little bit into direction of meditation maybe, when you really visualize great feelings or great situations where you really did something good. Just an idea for free. And of course, I have to mention it because I like these dark colors. And of course, in Anki on desktop and also on mobile, you can use dark mode. And I think the cards, like I have created them, look a lot cooler if you also use the dark mode in Anki. But of course, that's just personal preference. Okay, and then last but not least, never forget, and I really mean this, every detected blunder is a golden opportunity to improve your game. Really, I really believe this. Of course, if it's a blunder and you lost the match because of it, a double match point, it's not so funny. But often you make blunders when you win the match anyway, or you would have lost it anyway. But really, if you have detected a blunder, and it's not an oversight, it's a really good opportunity to improve your game because it has proven a specific weakness in your game. And maybe you cannot fix every blunder, but if you from 10 blunders, there's one that was systematic, where you can really understand this type of position and will never make the same blunder again in a similar position. Then you have achieved a lot. So every blunder is a golden opportunity to improve your game. And don't be too sad about it. Try to see it optimistically and see the good things in a blunder. Okay, so any questions? I talked a lot. I think I talked 1 hour. I think we have to go through the chat first regarding our prize competition. So it was really funny. Last chance, 10 more seconds to make your vote to win a prize, or one of the two prizes. One is the free Mochi deck, and one is to save €5 on your first XG2Anki blunder. But first, few more seconds if you want to answer, and then it's a good time to ask for questions. Any questions I can answer? I know there was a lot of information, so my advice would be, at least I would please install Anki and please download the free sample deck. This costs you nothing except a few minutes of your time, and look at it and see and think about it if that's the right or a good way for you to study your mistakes and to improve your game. Yeah, the funny thing was, I was happy to find on Heroes that you can download a filter for players and then download the XG files. And And the funny thing is, and one player will be one viewer will be very happy because he hit it on the nose. It is suspicious. Why did he want to change his mind? Because he got it right. Marcel, congratulations. The funny thing is, I took the first 100 matches I found from heroes from Mochi, and these were exactly 250 blunders. So 2.5 blunders per match. That's yeah, it was. I love 100 and I love 250, and yeah. So 100 matches is the right answer. So the winner is Marcel Jochem. Congratulations. I will send you the link pretty soon. And then we have to find out who was second, and help me. What's close? Herbert is pretty close, 20 away. Minjungen is 25 away. So Benjamin is closer, 15 away. Help me, but I think it's Benjamin, right? I think it's Benjamin, yes. Marcel also. So I hope you will find this. No cash prize, Benjamin. But yeah, if you don't want to invest a euro, then you can just tell me and send me one file, of course. But maybe you want to add 1 or 2 euros and you get your extra. Wow, Benjamin, you do your cards on your own. That's cool. Okay, so you pass. This is nice. So who was third? Was it Herbert? That's very kind of you, Benjamin, to announce this. So we have another one who get this offer. Yeah, I think it's, help me again, watchers. I think it's Herbert with 80, right? Yeah, Herbert, cool. Okay, so let me know, send me your files, and if you just want to have one file, then it's for free for you, or you can send me up to 19 euros if you want to send me 20 files. Let me know. Okay, so any questions? Of course, it's not for me. It's real. I'm really excited, even though if nobody wants the service, I'm still happy because that's the method I'm pretty convinced I want to use, and it saves me a lot of time. And I think maybe if you don't want to create the cards on your own, it's really a good service, or at a reasonable price for you. Even though I don't know the final price model yet. But I think, for example, here in this case, for 20 matches, if you have not only 3-point matches, you get quite a few cards. It depends, of course, on your playing strength, but I guess there are at least, let me guess, 200 cards. Yep. I did not pay anything, Marcel, to say this, but he was indeed one of the testers, and I've created quite a few decks for him for each tournament he played in the past few months. Okay, so 5 tournaments, on each tournament around 6-7 files. Of course, Marcel is a super strong player with an average clearly below 4, which means, yeah, and also fewer cards, of course. Okay, then let me know if I can do anything at the moment for you. You can contact me anytime at rainer@backgammonlivestream.de, and yeah, it seems that it's not the case that you have more questions in the chat. So thanks for your time. And I hope at least some of you are now as excited as I am and see the potential of this method, of this service. And yeah, then let's call it a day. We have 1 hour, 9 minutes. And yeah, I think that we already have the first order. Did I get this right? Sure, but I'm not sure if I'm able to announce it. So for privacy and security reasons, I will not. But the first order is already in, which makes me very happy. Okay. You can later on, of course, add comments to this video or send me an email if you have any questions. I hope there was something useful for you. So Wolfgang says no problem. This means it's no problem that I can announce that he's the first customer of XG2Anki. That's very kind of you. Okay, then enjoy the rest of this wonderful Sunday. The next live stream will be on Wednesday, where I play round number 8 of the World Consultation Tournament together with my good friend Thorsten. Yeah, this is on Wednesday at 7 o'clock in the evening. So join us again, support us or our opponents. I guess it's now we are in the final 10 teams, and today Marcel, Jochem and Volker Sonnabend have won their round. They are now on the top of the list, and yeah, we have four matches where all teams have only 1 life, which means if they play 1-1, they all lose, and which means that Marcel and Volker will automatically be at least number 2 in the tournament. Okay, then see you on Wednesday. Let me know what you think about XG2Anki. I'm always happy to hear from you, and I'm sure there's a lot to improve and enhance and extend in the next few months. I see a lot of possibilities, and the more people who participate and share their opinions and ideas with me, the better we can make this project. Okay, as always, I love you. See you. Bye bye.